Calvin Castine off camera, Judy Castine on the camera. It's the 14th day of May 2019, and it's a week before the school budget vote throughout everybody in New York State votes the same day, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, so May 21st at Northeastern Clinton we're looking at today, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the middle school cafeteria and at the Moores Elementary School gymnasium. That's all we need to know. Thank you for showing up.
You said Moore's Elementary School, and where else?
And middle school cafeteria.
Yes, middle school cafeteria.
Here at Northeastern Clinton.
Located right across the district office.
All right, so who have I got standing in front, sitting in front of me here? Just introduce yourselves.
Myself, Robb Garrand, Superintendent of Schools.
And Jennifer Brown, Business Manager.
All right, and we're here to talk about the proposed budget, and you had a hearing, I think a week or so ago, and I'm
Wednesday,
sure
May 8th.
the turnout was wall-to-wall people coming in, asking questions because they got their information in the mail. Did anybody show up?
That's not accurate. We did have one family, I believe, there for a different reason, very positive, but our administrative team, that also is a very collaborative effort working on the budget, but that was our turnout.
Okay, well, so you never know if that means
Mhm.
people are happy or just waiting to show up. I think the best thing to do is just let you folks present what you want to present, then I'll hop in with any questions I may
Okay.
have, okay? So,
I think I'd like to begin by saying, before we go into the budget, one of the areas I would like to, I've fielded a few questions, and taxpayers were very, very appropriate. I appreciate them having the opportunity to ask and answer those questions, but it was an unfortunate mishap into no planning whatsoever that the new assessments came out in people's mailbox the same day as the school budget newsletter. So I just want to assure people that that's a whole different office that you need to go to that's not affiliated with anything from the Northeastern Clinton Central School District. So if they have any questions from their assessor, I ask that they visit the Champlain Town Assessor, that where the information is given. I believe that information's also been mailed to people's homes. But I just want to be out there that the assessments had nothing to do with Northeastern Clinton as far as creating an addition to the budget.
okay, well, since you brought that up, I won't interrupt you too many times here,
Mhm.
but is the amount per thousand that we're paying based on the brand-new assessment that was,
No.
or was it the assessment before this notification went out?
Previous assessment.
So, we're probably assuming that the overall assessment is going to increase. We got Wyeth being torn down on a
Mhm.
daily basis here. Is the overall assessment going to be up or down individually?
Yes, we actually, Jennifer received the overall assessment. We knew something before assessments went out. There was going to be
Right.
some letters going because I think it was an increase of 17 million.
Correct.
Okay,
So and it does say on there that's preliminary and it's based on anybody fighting their assessment or anything else. But the overall assessment for the district changed by $17 million.
so you had that before.
No,
you-
we just got that maybe a
was
week to
basically-
10
it
days
was
ago.
basically new
Okay.
We
news,
did
that
have
was
it for
correct.
that budget,
So that doesn't,
but we didn't have it for the newsletter.
Okay.
And we also didn't use it because it's just a preliminary number.
right,
But we do cover it in the PowerPoint, what happens to the per thousand if that assessment is at least in the ballpark.
okay,
So I think we'll cover that in the,
okay.
Mhm.
So I'll try not to interrupt you too many times.
And that's one of the areas in our first 3 budget workshops that was not included, because obviously we did not learn this new information. So when we did get it, we incorporated it into our budget hearing.
Right.
So the very first slide you will see, Calvin, is a budget history from 2009 to 2019-20. So you can see that in a period of 10 years, the overall operating budget only went up about 3 million. However, this is a slide that I'll be talking about often, the 2019-2020 with the CVS capital project payment that we'll talk about also in a later slide. You can see the overall percentage of where the operating budget goes to the 33,526,000. And where I want to stick with this slide is I want to make a few key points for our community. That Northeastern's overall contribution to the CVS capital project, and when I say Champlain Valley Educational Services, oftentimes people they forget that that's our school also.
Right.
We send 70 students, 70 junior and senior combined students that are in trade programs such as electrical, welding, aviation, heavy equipment, culinary arts, cosmetology, a wide host of range of services. We also have 21 students that their actual educational programming is completed at CVS. So we have 91 students that their program, that is their school in addition to our school. That contribution, how does that 2.8 come? All schools, the 13 schools in the consortium, are all responsible for paying a portion due to student population. So our area is 2.8 million. And what happens is by paying that forward, in the conclusion of next year's school budget, we will get 1.4 million returned to the school district as aid. So our actual operating budget is really 31,526,000. But yeah, you can see that increase, but the 33,526,000 is with our payment of the capital project. What that does also, we have two areas of what we call borrowing. We are going to be going forward to our taxpayers for a vote this December in 2019, which I'm going to talk about some of these slides going into about upcoming of our own capital project. We are not interested in having the opportunity to have two projects that we're going to have to borrow money. By us paying the two payments, it is going to save the district $1.1 million in interest. So I'll say again, by us making those two payments and getting that out of the way before we go into our own capital project is going to save the district $1.1 million. The last time CVS had a capital project was 30 years ago. So one way or another, whether we're going to pay for the Band-Aids and all the repairs for roofs and some of our own similar concerns, that's where it is. The other area we'd like to point out is the 33.5 that we have going through is to no cost of our taxpayers, in the sense that we're going to be having the aid that we get. In addition to the aid, it's what we've worked hard to have a fund balance that we're going to be taking money out of our general fund to help with that payment. Next year, when we create next year's budget, it's important that we know that we're going to be working off the 31.5 million. We'll not be working off the 33 as this one-time payment. So next year, again, we go into creating the 2020-2021 operating budget. We will be working off the 31,526,000. The actual increase to our overall, so just so you know, the overall operation of the school actually only increased by 215,000 minus these budgets, as far as these other, with the rise of health insurance as well as the capital project. The revenue proposal going out to our taxpayers, the increase in real property tax, the tax levy is 2.49%. This will generate revenue of approximately $272,000 to the district. It does not exceed the tax cap. We could go out to our community at 2.91%. We did not feel that was at our best interest at that time. If we did go out with 2.91, that would have been a revenue of $318,000. So the difference is we could have gone out to seek more revenue of 46, but we felt at our best interest right now that 2.49. The board worked diligently and collaboratively that we came up with that number to also be thinking of our taxpayers as well in that number.
This is the sheet that we were just talking about, the assessments, and this is a historical sheet that shows the tax rates per thousand over the past 7 or 8 years. We did add, at this last presentation, the number in red, the 2019-20 estimate of $20.50. That's what the tax rate per thousand would be by using the county's preliminary assessment that just came about a week or 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so that entire thing holds true?
Right.
That'd be your guess on the...
Right. So we had estimated $21.14 per thousand using last year's assessments. So you'll see that the actual, if we're even in the same ballpark, we're closer to the 18-19 rate. So it would about stay the same per thousand as to last year's.
Right, but certain people would be taking up the difference because their assessment went up.
Will be going on.
Correct.
So this is a revenue sheet. This was what our budget would look like without the CVS capital project payment. So in a normal year, a typical year, this is the revenue page that we use. And this shows the 3.9% increase on our operating budget. Shows where the revenues increased, the $272,000 that we would make in the tax levy, additional fund balance that we're appropriating to help alleviate the cost of health insurance this year. And the other one, our state aid number that goes up $533,000. And the EBLAR reserve, those are just each year they match what our retirement incentive payments are each year. So last year, we have fewer retirements this year than we did last year. So that's where we come up, the change column is where we come up with 3.9% in our budget total.
Then we have our responsibility to the CVS capital project. So the CVS capital project, again, is 29.8 million. We see the percentage of project that is aidable, and the project aid ratio. The NCCS project estimated share is a little over 2.8 million. So you can see our June 2019 payment, our June 2020 payment, so that's the 2 million that's included into this budget. And again, we will return about 1,427,000. You can see that money taken out of the fund balance for a total cost to the district of 1.4, a little over 1.4 million to the 2.8 that right now it's going to cost. So again, it's money forward, and in return at the conclusion of the school year, we'll get 1.4 million back. Again, this is branched out. I want to continue to reiterate, this is branched out to every district, to their student population will be a percentage of share, because we all use CVS for these wonderful programs that they provide for our students.
Now, your share is based on the school population,
Correct.
not the number that we send
Correct.
percentage-wise.
Correct.
So, if you send more students than,
Correct. Yep.
than
Yes.
somebody else, then
Correct.
you're coming out ahead.
Mm-hmm.
If you send less, you're paying
Yeah.
somebody else's students.
So this is the exact same sheet that we used, our revenue sheet, but this just shows the change with the CVS capital project. So the only numbers that change are the two in red, the additional amount that we're using from fund balance to make up payment, and the BOCES aid that we'll be receiving back. So that's how we get from the 3.9 to the 10.5 increase in the overall budget, just from that one-time payment.
Okay.
Items that are included in the operating budget for next year would be to maintain current staffing level, except with the addition of hiring a network coordinator. That's with our approval of the 1.4 million in smart bonds money. Many area districts around us have 2 or 3 administrators in charge of technology area. Presently, we do not have anybody. We have all of us collaboratively working together, but as we continue working towards full inclusion of technology in the Chromebooks, we are in need, and we've been talking about this for 3 years, that this day will come as we continue moving our vision into 21st century learning in classrooms, as we incorporate more technology for our students. So that position. The addition of a 5th grade section, that's at Moores Elementary School. Last year we eliminated a grade 5 section at Moores Elementary. The numbers now support well past contractual language to reinstate that position. The increase of a 1 day per week instrumental music teaching position. I'm happy to report it's a good issue, because last year we brought 1 day back. Especially our middle school, the participation has risen. That's just on the rise, and there's so many students that are wishing to play an instrument. I think that also shows in our concerts and so on, the amount of numbers that we're increasing. So we're going to be taking the individual who teaches 1 day per week, and we're moving forward to hopefully being able to hire 2 days a week to help meet those needs as the participation rises. We have the minimum wage increase. We have the health insurance increase, which I'll talk about a little later in another slide. So the cost of the district is approximately $972,000. We have the retirements of 2 teachers and 1 clerical staff. We have 1 van, 2008, and a maintenance vehicle, 2006. So you can even see the age of the maintenance vehicle. We're trying to do as much like we do with our buses and fleets of rotation. Of now we have 3 vans with some rust on the bottom, and obviously we're not going to put forward 3 vans, but each year trying to incorporate 1 van until we get back to where we need to be. And then we have capital project startup costs with our legal fiscal advisors as we work to have a firm that's going to work with us and lead us into our capital project. We have some startup costs there, but eventually it gets incorporated into our capital project if the vote approves, that we can then incorporate that money into the cost. We have propositions of 4 buses not to exceed the cost of $475,000. Also not on this slide would be our continued $30,000 contribution to our $10,000 each to our area school libraries.
Town.
Yes.
The town library.
Yes, town libraries, yes. Rising costs of health insurance. You can see that was an area from what I'm gathering, much of this is also before my time, is that we had the cost of health insurance on the rise, but also districts with such financial straining that we're trying to put two together and realizing that as health insurance increased, that it was not being kept up with the cost of, what was needed and the expenses of revenue. You can see the last 3 years it's been drastic, and I'm going to go to show you plans after here, a classic example about the rise of health insurance. So what it is now is the consortium again. So this is not just, I continue saying Northeastern, it's all 13 districts within our CVS consortium have the same percentage increases with their employees, their collective bargaining units. We're optimistic that that goal is going to start going down. Is it ever going to see the 3.54% again? No, but we are hoping that it gets more stable to that area of about 8 to 10%. But right now we are treading. We're not drowning and we're not swimming. We do have a new consultant also working with the consortium that has really brought some good areas and ideas. And one of the areas we're trying to do is also people active on our plans and even retirees is creating smarter consumers that just going for medical treatment one place could be 10 times more expensive than going somewhere else. They're really looking at cost savings way and more invention, marketing and websites and things like that of how can we do a better job with what we are doing for treatment and saving costs to the consortium as well. If you look at the next slide, I will say clearly is that's a district stance in realizing working with our negotiation, our collective bargaining units, is that we know that there has to be more continued contributions in order to help us out in this area of creating a fiscally responsible budget as well. But pretty much all of our employees are on Plan 2. And with that being said, you see the percentage that are on family, and it's going to be more of a breakdown. So we have, and then individual and Medicare. So you have, if you look at 2017, 2018, the cost to a family plan just 2 years ago was just shy of $19,000, and just today, 2 years later, it's over $27,000. That's just the cost again of a family plan under Plan 2. 2-year impact on the budget approximately $1.9 million, and that's something again all of us around the local areas are really feeling and the hurt and continuing to work out ways to help everybody involved as the costs increase.
Okay, so employees don't contribute? That's the way it is?
They do,
They
and
do.
it's
They do?
different by bargaining unit.
But it's still 27,000?
That's our cost, and
Yeah.
then they contribute
Correct.
different percentages, yeah.
Healthcare is awfully cheap, isn't
Mhm.
it?
Yeah. So here is just a number of policies. So the active employers, so teaching, we have 75 family plans, 27 individual plans. Just gives you just more of feedback and information of where we're at with retirees and active employees, the amount of people that we service as far as in terms of health insurance. Calvin, I want to stay on budget before we go to, we did include, because we're trying to get the tone out there also for the future capital project for a vote, but I
Uh-huh.
just would like to go back into this area.
Okay.
One area that I want to make sure and have, because I don't know if it would have been one of your questions. If so, I'll answer it. Under general support, so what happens is Jennifer has, it's almost like a school report card, and all in the left-hand column is just basically all your numbers in everybody's budget. You just plug in your numbers that fit that area.
Mm-hmm.
And one area that I'm going to be sending out kind of like a silo, just to go on the website, but under special items, because it just stays special items, that's the cost of the capital project.
Just a $2 million increase.
Correct.
That
So
should have been.
yes, I'm not going on any
explained.
far trips for the year. So I'm just, that's the area of the cost of the
If you
capital
do, it better be a
project.
one-way trip.
So that was one area I did want to, and like I said, it was a very appropriate
that's-
question, so that would be the cost.
Obviously, that's,
Correct.
that was a 74 point.
Correct.
88% increase, almost 75% increase. And
Yes.
so 600 for the whole general support. bill.
Correct.
And that,
Correct.
so went from 638,000 to 2,667,000.
So the other areas I would restate again is the last 3 years, we haven't any questions, but your numbers look very similar because that does stand out. And again, this is just simply a code of New York State. So what Jennifer takes in this part of her area is you take your report card, you fill in your numbers. Well, that probably could have helped with that area of explanation,
Yeah.
in terms of that $2 million is for
Yeah.
the capital project cost.
One time.
Yes. So just so you know on our end, just because to me, if one question came out, it's worth answering. So it's not going to be a mass mailing, but we are going to have on our webpage. And by the way, all of these PowerPoints and newsletters can be found on our budget piece of our portal.
Where do we find
on
that?
our website, on the budget part of the portal of
Right,
the
the-
website.
And the
Right.
website is,
NCCScougar.org.
all right, Cougar, don't forget the Cougar.
No S, just
Cougar.
NCCScougar.org.
One Cougar.
Okay,
So the future capital project we did was we had 5 years ago in 2015, I was able to analyze the building condition survey. And what that is you have architects, engineers that come and say, they look at all your existing structures of your facility and saying, here's an estimated cost, here's the amount of time frame we recommend that this gets fixed. Well, I can share with you that our packet's pretty thick. In terms we have areas. So they would say recommended 5 years, so that's 2020 always brings us that. Also what they get for estimated costs, as we know 5 years ago is not, the price of steel in all of those areas have gone up drastically. So we're able to analyze that and scope out some of our work. And as we'll go through the specific items, right now we had a pre-screening meeting, and what that means is it's a review for qualification. So we send out a bid. And any interesting parties that would love to team up, any firms that'd be interested in leading our capital project have an opportunity, and that's actually all of our responses that we're starting with tonight. We had 9 firms come to the table,
wow,
which I thought was very good. And we had 6 that came back with their interest. So we are now we have a district capital project committee that are going to be reviewing that area. Fiscal advisors are our lead agents as well as some of the other area schools that have undergone capital projects we're networking with to get feedback. So that part's an exciting time. So we're meeting today, and we're going to narrow that list down to 2 or 3 that we're going to interview. And then we're hoping for a June presentation to the Board of Education in terms of who we feel we're going to award the contract to.
okay.
So going through with that, so we're looking for a December 2019 vote. It takes anywhere close to about 10 months, can take up to a year for state ed after the formal plans are developed and we submit them. We're hoping for an ultimate goal to break ground of our improvements in 2021 with a successful vote. What does that look like? Now we're going to go to talk about the scope of the capital project.
Okay, and this again has nothing to do with the May 21st
Correct.
budget.
Nothing to do with the May 21st, just giving a mindset ahead and being very transparent on what we're looking at moving forward. We have a high school roof that's in constant need of repair, did not get done years ago on the capital project. I remind us saying that some areas of our school have not been touched in 30 years. So with that being said, is the high school project, just that section is going to be looking at to an area of repair, security upgrades of our entrances and offices. Our ultimate goal, our team is to upgrade the security features, and presently we have in our office space, secretarial staff buzzes somebody in by looking at a computer. We obviously want more on-site protection, visibility. We're also looking at is minimizing traffic of our guests with students in the hallway. So for example, if you took just in the middle school, did not restructure offices in the sense that you take a left, you enter some type of area of a hallway that you're going to come by the business office, the district office, the nurse's office. So if somebody has a sick kid, you come down this hallway instead of entering the traffic with the students. So the student accessibility would be locked. Any of our visitors will be coming through these office spaces.
Okay.
Bus garage upgrade, many of those areas have not been done in 30 years. We put about $200,000 into a lift, so we want to actually work around those lifts. But just looking at siding, and there's walls in the structure, and there's just some definite needs, and storage space needs to be upgraded there. The track, as you may be aware, we've been sending track teams for 2 years off-site. It has been deemed unfit for competition, but yet you can use it at practice. We would still be looking at another 2-3 years, because right now the estimated cost to repair the track would be $450,000. We don't have the area to go into our budget for $450,000 when we could be looking at putting that right into our capital project costs. It is a high use of our community, so that's very, very important to us. And we'll be looking at a little bit of shifting of the track and putting the soccer field in the middle of the track, which at that point would be the bleachers and press box kind of area and things like that. As you know, we've had problems with that area as well with code. So we're looking at, we do have some areas of our baseball, softball field with backstops and tiling as well. We just feel with the scope of the project that we're not looking to exceed 25 million, between 22 to 25 million. I also want to add, it comes at an 85% aid rate. But not everything's aidable, so that's also where you have to be very strategic of what space is for students and stuff. So it does come at an 85% aid. And again, with the CVS being paid off, if any type of borrowing we can put into just worrying about our needs. Boilers, middle school, high school, need use of new boilers. What I want to go back, and I apologize that for track, just back. Our baseball, softball teams, a lot of times in the schedule, like weather like this, we have to spend a good part of our beginning of the season going away just because of our drainage issues.
Right.
You know, looking to tile and hopefully help out with those areas too. So we're doing a lot of shifting of scheduling. So right now I said I would much get to the area of sending our track teams away for 7 meets at a transportation cost of $450,000 that eventually in the project we move anywhere. Or anyway, I should say.
Right.
After these bathroom modifications, that's more of just looking at our unisex bathrooms or gender neutral bathrooms to serve those populations. We're a lot more buildings that are going through 21st century saying instead of 5 years down the road this is what your bathrooms need to look like, taking a good look at it now and scoping that area out. The pool was a tricky one. The pool was, I was trying to get data. We had a report done by an engineer, and my goal was to say, I know this is high needs for our summer swim program and what do our kids really have around here. But I also wanted the board to get good facts of somebody coming in saying, in 5 or 6 years, Northeastern Clinton Central School, this is going to be your cost as you continue to operate the pool. It's an operating cost with chemicals and so on and keeping the pool warm about $50,000 annually. I was expecting that he was going to say 5, 6 years that you're going to have a cost of $500,000 or so, and then I'd be able to go, we need to look and examine this moving forward. Well, he came to the table and shared that we realistically could operate for another 20 years at the $50,000 cost. The only thing you would say is take the 9 foot and close it in to be like 6 so you're heating less, saving water there. But then he brought back, what I had to bring back to the district why we incorporated this, because we use that for instruction. The cost is about $1 million for a new pool in the project, which means with the aid would only be $150,000. We do have a lot of community people that use it, and that we always want to be. The center of the school brings the community in. What I'd also like to do is I think we need to do a better job as a district marketing the pool. I don't want to misspeak. I haven't spoken to them whatsoever, but thinking outside the box, how do we teamwork with like Hudson Headwaters? Can people do PT, physical therapy and things like that? Can we have a collaborative effort to join that? Coaches using it more for training, birthday parties, whatever it may be, outside use of saying, I think we can do a better job of making us sell this pool in terms of like, this is a great space. So that's why it's incorporated in here, because it became what my intentions were, going $150,000 for a state-of-the-art pool, when here we were thinking, are we going to be able to even afford to keep it up? Library media centers, and they're not a new library media center, just looking at the space and analyzing it, saying as our classrooms, and we'll continue working towards those 21st century classrooms and one-to-one technology in our students' hands, of how can we look at some of the existing space and making that more user-friendly. And parking lots. You come at the end of the day, this parking is so congested between student and parent pickup and the buses and so on, safety of looking at ways of, could we add an additional parking area?
Do not use the Beacontown format.
Very confusing.
You've driven through that parking lot. Do not do that. No offense there.
So the school board candidates, we have one petition received. It was from Arsene Letourneau, who does an outstanding job. He is presently on the Board of Education. The purchase of 4 buses, and again, our libraries support $10,000 to each of our community libraries as we annually do.
That wasn't you dinging there, Jude?
No, that was, I apologize, that was another noise from one of the phone systems over there. And then our budget vote again, 11 to 8 p.m. And I think, again, Calvin, if I can reiterate, and then I would be happy to answer any more of your questions, is I think the real important areas of focus, again, I refer back to that first slide, is understanding again that this is 2 payments on behalf of the district to support the CVS capital project that, again, is our school, as well as serves many wonderful kids that graduate with some. We often say college and career readiness, and people forget that career is very important as well. For some students, they don't go to college, and they do just fine by learning some of these trades that CVS offers. And by us paying forward the 2 years, we'll be able to say we are not borrowing on that project. And I think it's been very, very good fiscally responsible moves by our entire district in terms of right down to ordering from requisitions from our teachers, whatever it may be. They've learned to do more with less, and it's put us into an area where we can move this forward and not have to borrow with our own project. But I continue to say that we will be saving $1.1 million in interest by making sure that we just move forward with the CVS capital project payment. And I also want to state again that as far as our taxpayers, again, it's coming from building aid and what we have in our general fund. And most importantly, again, the $33 million that you see, because this one-time $2 million payment is going to go back to a $31 million operating cost. And as you saw from that first slide, over a period of 10 years, our overall operating cost has gone up about $3 million. So I mean, we have been very, very conservative in our approaches moving
Right,
forward.
in a 10-year period, yeah. Yeah, I think, CVES, we commonly call it BOCES, is, underutilized, but,
Mhm.
and more students ought to be encouraged
Mhm.
to take advantage of it, because, we
Mhm.
need people to be able to
Mhm.
do stuff.
CVS actually could share with you, if you were to talk to Dr. Mark Davey, I don't want to misspeak, but we are definitely one of the high schools that send the higher percentage of students, because we just see, everybody sees value to it, but we also have students that have good interest in it. And the part I like too is students also know that, they have to have good attendance and so on, because that's approximately a $12,000 cost per student. So you better be making sure, as we believe in you to send you,
Right.
that you're doing, what you need to do.
But they come out of there ready for the workforce.
Absolutely.
And that's important.
And they have their own graduation,
Yep.
in addition to their school graduation. And I just think oftentimes sometimes people the years ago think that Northeastern Clinton's just Northeastern Clinton, their community schools, but no, this is a satellite. This is another school that we do send our kids for our programs that do very, very, very well. And for some, keep kids in school because of they just go right into the interest that they have and keeping it. And they also host some of their academics there as well. And the cost of rising health insurance, that's an everywhere issue that we continue, and I continue saying is regardless, those are two high cost items that no matter what happens, we have to move forward
Right.
with payment.
You can't not do them. You've got to do them. That's it's not a choice.
I do also want to talk because, again, if anybody has any questions about special education, our special education budget, a question came of, did we fill some of our gaps because special education, somebody noticed, went down about 300,000. That is not the case, because our ultimate goal is to educate our students here. So sometimes when you send kids to residential placements, those are high cost placements, we return some of our students back. And that's the area where next year you could see an increase of $400,000 special education. You just never know with kids that come in
From year to year.
and their needs and their programming. Special education is all over the map in terms of what you need and what you need for services. So the $300,000 gap, no, that's not used to help out in other areas. It just happened that we brought some of our kids back from residential placement and are housing them within our schools, offering the program that we feel that they've been able to be successful with.
Okay. Before we came today, our mail arrived, and there was a new flyer that's out there. I assume I know why, because on the back of the original one, the 1819 was repeated as the 1920 on the back of this. So this has the correct information.
Well, this is a requirement by the state. You have to send it individually and separate from your budget booklet. So it's a state requirement.
Okay.
It comes every year. It's called.
So the state takes care of the postage, I assume?
Yeah. No.
No?
No.
I'm glad you.
Okay, my questions, I did have the question about that $2 million increase, which you've explained is the BOCES instruction. It's only a $98,000 increase, which is relatively small.
Mhm.
Transportation, it's a 5% increase, but within the past 3-4 months, my transportation increases have been greater than that because of gosh darn
Cost of
gas
Right.
prices, and that's going to be tough to budget because you don't know what
Correct.
Mm.
those gosh darn gas prices are going to be
Correct.
a year from now or 6 months from now. But I did have a question on the undistributed. That's another one with the a big number and not much
Mhm.
explanation. $9 million.
Well,
are
for
going to 9.9 million.
Yeah, for Jennifer, we were having a conversation on this because for some reason in the proof it ended up different where the numbers over. That should actually, all your information, that's employee benefits.
Okay. So that includes the
Yes.
medical expenses and so on.
So that goes back to the slide that we did on health insurance, where
Right.
there was a $912,000 increase. That's
Right,
where it is.
That's basically where
Yep.
the big increase comes from. So the undistributed, I think it was an 8% increase, a 9.7 increase on that top line there.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, it's 10.49 increase when you're showing the
Mhm.
33 million, but you're saying that
And Calvin, you already said it. I've said it. You said it best as well. That basically you see those two numbers that you talked about, the drastic. It simply comes down to capital project and health insurance.
yeah. and state sources increased by 11%, from 17.5 to 19.5. This, I assume, is because of aid that you're spending more, so you're getting
Mhm.
85 or whatever percent back of that, so that's where that increase comes from there. So the bottom line, I came up with two figures, but they're both right around 2.5. When I looked at the tax levy, I got a 2.49% increase. When I looked at the tax per thousand, I got a 2.52% increase. So your 2.91 is your basic that you have to reach at your goal as far as the capital.
291 is what we could have gone out with,
Right.
but we went
Right.
out with 249.
Because you
So
have-
we have to get 50% of the vote.
So that is the based on what? The per thousand, or the actual amount you're spending, or what?
That's based on the amount we're raising.
The tax levy.
Right,
Tax levy part.
right.
So,
The tax rate per thousand, it actually goes out many more digits, so that's just a rounding.
yeah, right, yeah, I know when
So,
Yeah.
the revenue that you're gonna be bringing in.
right, so, and that could change, but again, it's, you know, the assessment is, they do a lot of things here at Northeastern, but they don't do the assessing, so.
Thank you.
I've already been
Do
down.
not.
That seems to be my most frequent question.
I've already been down to see my good friend Tim and,
Mhm.
and Martine and.
I'm believing that they're busy.
Yeah, there were no pitchforks there the day we went, so.
That's good.
Yeah, it was that literally actually has been, and that's one of the areas is, you know, making sure and communicate out there that it was bizarre that we're hearing that it arrived on the same day, but that we are separate entities, that we had not have any work involved with raising people's assessments.
Yes, and what Tim explained was that the state kind of mandated that if they didn't get back to 100% evaluation, the state would do it for them, and could have been a lot worse.
Mhm.
So the state kind of dictates a lot of stuff that we may or may not be happy with, but that's
Mhm.
the way it is. So it's one of those
And
things we can't change.
And I believe for many, I know myself included, it's been years since I've had one. I want to say a good 10 to 12 year period.
So
I
you-
can't speak
so
for
you
everybody.
were due for, you wanted one, right?
I didn't say I wanted
Oh,
one.
you felt
but-
guilty, you said.
But
You
I
went
do
down there
know,
and
I
said-
do know, speaking only on behalf of myself, it was a period of time. where
Okay, did yours go up or down?
It went up. A significant amount, as
Yeah, 'cause-
has many.
Yeah, they kind of blanketed it, you
Mhm.
just went a percentage to just about everybody that was affected in
Mhm.
the area. So, okay, budget vote again, May 21st, 11 to 8 in the Northeastern District, and I'm not sure if other school districts use that same timeline, is it the?
Times can change, but the date is the same.
Yeah, date's the same. And only one person, Arsene Letourneau, is running again. So if you don't want Arsene, write somebody else in, but he's a distant cousin, so I can
Oh,
try to
okay.
talk like that.
Arsene has done a fabulous job. We're very fortunate to have the Board of Education that we have here.
Well,
It's a
yeah,
very solid group.
And he's a good guy to have on there, because
Correct.
money is what he does for a
Numbers.
living, yeah. He's
Numbers.
he's just
I will say,
treasurer for-
I'll continue saying I've been very fortunate in my 4 years as superintendency, because it's literally a group that's very well respected and have a lot of trust in their community and very involved with the greater good of the school. We're very, very fortunate to have the group that we do.
yeah,
And they all come from different fields.
and they work for free.
Mhm.
No-
Absolutely.
No money for being on the school board. So anything else that we should mention?
I'm good. I just thank you for taking time out of your schedule to help us communicate where we're at as far as budgeting.
All
And
right.
if it can help people get a further understanding, as many multiple modes of communication that we can do is worth it.
And if they have questions, can they call?
Absolutely. Jen Brown at 298.
Yeah, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, absolutely. We're right in 298-8242 is main line. We're happy to answer any of those questions. We'd rather have it instead of misinformation going out. And I definitely said I hope there's a good amount of respondents that watch. 'Cause I believe that just some of these areas we've been able to clear up so many of those questions. But again, everybody's been very wonderful and appropriate. Just a few questions, but assessment has been the number one question.
Concern, yes, sure. All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Judy.
you.